Feeling so high, summer rhythms play, we're gonna fly. Go, 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 oh, shine a light. In the summer sun, we're a summer loving crowd. Talking Brazil ball, we're breaking it down, bringing it back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Brazil Ball, the podcast all about Brazilian football. And we're here, George, to celebrate the imminent arrival of the Brasileirão season. We've been counting down steadily over the past few weeks, and we're finally at the week before it all begins. The excitement is ramping up. So join us today as we deliver the final installment of our preview show. Ahead of the new season. So I'm James. I'm here, as always, with my co-host George. George, we're very soon counting down. This is our final instalment before the season all kicks off a week on Sunday, isn't it? How have you been doing ahead of the big kickoff?
Yeah, hi James, hello to everybody here, and just a bit of housekeeping as we are just to start off with. I do have a little visitor this afternoon, so any sort of noise or anything will I might just mute myself occasionally here and there. So I'm feeling okay, James. I'm okay. It's a week closer to the start of the season, isn't it? So we're getting ready. I think it's a week on Saturday, actually, isn't it?
Sorry.
So it coming ever closer. We're rounding off, like you said, we're rounding off our previews today with the final four teams. So looking forward to it. But
you're right. I was still operating on your Soccer Saturday style opening day of the season, all in one go. They've changed it, haven't they? So that it's not on Sunday. It kicks off. It's next Saturday, isn't it? Or is it Friday even, George? There's a game on the Friday, perhaps?
No, it kicks off on Saturday night, James. There's 5 fixtures Saturday. There's 3 on Sunday. There's 1 on Monday. There's 1 on Tuesday. So with it being the last one before we're having a break next week, of course, I mentioned to you, James, I think I'll do a music melody of the Talking Brazil Ball bands, all their songs of these previews. I think I'll do that next week. But with it being the final one that we're on, I think we'll do a fixture look at the first day fixtures at the end of the show. So
Yep, I think that's a good idea. And in that respect, let's crack on, because we do still have 4 teams left to cover. So the teams are going to round up today, as you said: Sao Paulo, Sport Recife, Vasco da Gama, and Vitoria, the last 4 teams of the 20 that we've rounded up. So have you got a quiz along those lines, George? One of the teams as the focus this time?
Yeah, I have actually, James. You're not going to thank me actually, because it's not around the 4 teams at all. It's around the international break loosely. So it's obviously the international break. Brazil actually played last night. They just squeezed past Colombia. My man Rafinha had a starring role, a goal, a penalty, and then he assisted for Vinicius in the 99th minute, I think it was, to win the game. But it is surrounding sort of Brazilian players in general, with it being the international break, and it comes. You won't want to be reminded of it, James, but the final, of course, last week to the League Cup final, the English League Cup final, it does surround that also. So obviously the final happened. Newcastle won. The 2 Brazilian lads won the trophy. But James, what I want to know, including Joe Linton and Bruno Guimarães, how many Brazilian players have lifted the League Cup, have won the League Cup over the last 10 years?
Wow, that's a really, really tough question, isn't it? 10 years. I mean, so you're going back to 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, I don't know, won in 2015, but City certainly won it the year after. So I think Fernandinho was probably there. Maybe Fernando even might have been in that team. City won plenty after that, didn't they? 4 in a row, but they haven't really had a lot of Brazilian players apart from Fernandinho really in those teams. I mean, Danilo might have been on one as well. Liverpool won it with, obviously, Bobby Firmino. Alisson would have been in the squad, so I guess he probably counts. Fabinho as well would have won one. So I'd say probably on average you might be looking at 1 a year, maybe slightly more. I'd say 13.
It's a really good guess, actually, James. It's 14, but
Ooh,
some have won it multiple times as well.
yeah,
And I can't remember which of the teams you've won it a couple of times, haven't you? In those 10 years, maybe 2 or 3 times.
2 times. Yeah,
You know,
2022, 24. Yeah.
I think City have won it 3
City probably won
times.
it 5. I think City won 4 in a row.
Yeah,
So
so they obviously got those guys, Bernardino, Edison, those sort of
Edison,
players. Jesus, Gabriel Jesus,
of course, yeah.
Jesus. So they've got a few, obviously, including the 2 lads on Sunday.
And then
Which
United as well. United won it 2020.
yeah,
I think Casemiro actually scored in the
Casemiro,
final.
Fred, Anthony as well. So yeah, there's 14 in all. I couldn't list you all of them actually, to be fair, but it's something you can probably do in your free time if you feel obliged to do so. But yeah, I counted up 14 players, so there you go.
Yeah, I might pass on that, but somebody has to count them up, I guess, don't they? Somebody does these things. So, but yeah, thank you for reminding me of that one, George. A really good, a good one to go over again. And yeah, like you mentioned, Brazil were in action last night. Alisson actually picked up a concussion injury during that, so he may not make. I think it's Wednesday they're playing Argentina, big game there in Buenos Aires. And Bruno, I think, got suspended as well. He's picked up a booking. There's a couple of doubts. But it was a big win for them against Colombia. Not an easy game by any means. Anyway, George, let's crack on with the show today. You're in charge of the DJ decks there today. So why don't you treat us to another instalment of the Talking Brazil Ball Band? I know you're going to play the medley next week, but they've turned up with a really good one just to see us into the season, haven't they?
Well, I would say it's not probably one of my favourites, but it is. It's an interesting one, James. So yeah, you'll hear all of them next week, or in the next few days. All of them in one. But here we go with the last instalment.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one, isn't it? So yeah, we just missed the first, but you'll hear it again. I'm not as skilled as you with the DJ skills, but there you go. We'll try it on again at in the middle of the show. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to do it during the break. Anyway, you get the gist of the idea. So that goes. Look at the 4 teams there. The first one up, George, is Sao Paulo, who have had a decent year last year, didn't they? Kind of coming around the Libertadores places. I think that they're in the Libertadores, are they, this season? I think they finally came. I can't remember if they came 4th or 5th in the end. I think they were 4th in the end. No, they were 5th, weren't they? Oh, actually, they were 6th. So in the Copa Libertadores qualification, I don't know actually if they made it in. I think they probably did. Good. They might have done. Anyway, George.
Yeah, they did. Sorry, James, I was on mute. They did. They're in there with. It's been obviously decided now. Bahia are actually in there as well. Corinthians didn't make it in the end, did they? But Sao Paulo are in there. They're in with Alianza Lima from Peru. There's Libertad from Paraguay and Tellez from Argentina. They begin with a trip to Argentina, actually in a few weeks, actually. Talleres, they're the trip to Argentina on the 3rd of April. So they begin their Libertadores season with a trip to Argentina, yeah.
Yeah, not a bad looking group for them, that. So how have they been shaping up ahead of the new season? Obviously a chance for them to kick on, maybe push for that top 4 under Zubeldia, who's now had a full season at the helm. What's the kind of the lay of the land going into this season?
Yeah, all right, James. I think really they haven't had that much in terms of transfers coming in or out. Really, I think the big one is Oscar. The big signing. He came from China. He's been in China for quite some time now. 33-year-old now is Oscar, former Brazilian international. And I think he's a sort of standout if you look at the players that they brought in. There has also been Cedric Soares, who played recently for Arsenal. It was released. I'm not sure what went on there, but former Southampton and Fulham player. And yeah, obviously, I don't know if Jamal Lewis is still there, James, or whether his loan move has now run out. It was due to run out in January. I don't know whether they renewed it or not. Wendell has also come in from Porto, the Brazilian left back. So they haven't really bought so many players in terms of players that have left. Again, I can't really see that many that many sort of players of note leaving. So I think they'll be okay. I think they'll do all right. I think, in terms of my sort of predictions, I might have to shift one or two around. But yeah, I mean, they're looking okay. Finished in the semi-final, got knocked out by the, semi-final of the Paulista to Palmeiras. I think Palmeiras eventually won it, didn't they? So well, actually, no, I think they're losing, aren't they, actually, in the final at the sort of half time, if you like, in that one. But they beat Palmeiras, they beat Sao Paulo in the semis. I think it's a little bit, they're ticking along okay. Zubeldia will fancy his chances, with another full season. Libertadores on the cards for them this time as well. So, they're starting with another team we're speaking of today, James. They're at home to Sport Recife in the opener on Saturday night. So we'll see how that goes. But I think, they're looking okay.
Yeah, one player who has left who you didn't mention there, which is a very interesting looking deal, in my opinion, William Gomez, who was a young player, very young player who really burst onto the scene last year. You remember, George?
Yes.
And he's made the move to Porto, which is a really interesting looking deal. Obviously, Porto have a really good history of taking their young players from Brazil, and that looks like a good step. We've seen quite a few go to Russia or to Ukraine, to Shakhtar, and it's nice to see a player make a move like that. And you get the impression that he's probably one to watch for bigger European sides now. He'll be keeping an eye on his progress. He's already played a few times for Porto. They seem to have done a lot of business with Porto. Like you said, Wendell has come in, who's a really, really experienced player, been a great kind of servant for Porto and Bayer Leverkusen before that. Very experienced in Europe, Brazilian international. And then Cedric Soares is a very, very experienced player as well. Obviously, like you said, was at Arsenal until not that long ago. I think he was a captain at Arsenal for some time while they were very poor, just pre-Mikel Arteta, and he was never really a key player, I don't think. And his contract went out, but he was good at Southampton before that. So, two really good fullback additions there. But it will, and Oscar, of course, adds that little bit of magic. But it does. It is a bit of a shame to see them lose someone like Gomez, because he was becoming a bit of a big player for them. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? So what do you predict for them, George? Like we said last week, you've not left yourself much wiggle room in terms of the table. You're going to have to, I think, maybe shift one or two around here. But what's your gut feeling over Sao Paulo?
Yeah, I think they'll probably go like mid-lower table, mid table, James. But I'm going to go with like 8th, I think. So okay. I think I'm going to have to move Bahia. Did I put Bahia in 8th?
Red Bull Bragantino at 8th at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm going to move them into...
The next available slot is 14th. You've got 14th, 15th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah, I think I'll put Bragantino into 14th.
Wow. What a big dip from 8th to 14th.
Well, yeah, but I mean, maybe I was not thinking correctly when I made that prediction. I don't know. But I think Sao Paulo will do okay. I don't think they'll be outstanding. I think they might actually put a lot on the Libertadores this time, with it being an opportunity for them there. It's a good looking group for them that to get out of. Zubeldia, has won continental competitions, hasn't he, before? So maybe it's something that he wants to throw his hat on again. But they'll no doubt be sort of challenging in and around the top end of it at some stage. But I don't think they'll have enough to fully trouble the ones at the top, really.
Yeah, eighth would probably be a disappointment, you'd have to say, though. And it would be interesting to see whether Zubeldia could survive that. But yeah, we'll see. They've certainly got some potential to do damage with the squad they've already got with Luciano Neves and Lucas Moura as well. It'd be interesting to see how he links up with Oscar coming back to Brazil after such a long time. So some things to be excited about, I think. But yeah, maybe not quite assured of a top four finish anyway. But thank you, George. That's Sao Paulo anyway. Let's move along and have a look at Sport Recife, who we have looked at very briefly already, or not too briefly actually. If you want to hear more about Sport Recife, if you look back at our shows that we did just a few weeks back where we looked at the newly promoted teams, we did take a look at how Sport Recife are doing there. Since then, they seem to have done pretty okay in the kind of Copa do Nordeste, which is the kind of northern kind of cup alongside Vitoria. Looks like Vitoria might have won that one, although I'm not completely sure, George. Either way, they probably held their own, and you know, they look okay going into the season. It's hard to know quite where they stand in terms of the business. They have brought a fella in on loan from Zenit, a midfielder called Duqueiroz, who has played in the past with Corinthians and Gremio, so he's quite an experienced kind of Serie A campaigner. So he's potentially going to be a biggish player for them. One who has caught the eye is Sergio Oliveira, who was playing not long ago in Europe as well with Porto, actually, and moved to Galatasaray. He's played at Roma, Olympiacos. He's played in France. He's played in Cyprus. He's played all over the place. And he's also a Portugal international as well. I think he might have even been in the Euro 2026, so Euro 2016 winning team, although that might be wrong, actually. But a very experienced player, 32 years old, kind of attacking midfielder. So he's quite an eye-catching addition, I would say, for Sport Recife because of his kind of pedigree in Europe. And obviously, as a promoted side, it's not necessarily the kind of high-profile addition that they always can attract. But I think he's going to be key for them. But as we said, that the big thing for these promoted teams is always, can you get goals? And you know, it's hard to say because we don't know the players particularly well. But looking at the squad, it's hard to see where the goals do come from, to be fair. I know Gonzalo Paciencia, I remember him from his days at Eintracht, actually, and Schalke. He's another very experienced campaigner in Europe, and he's one who's coming actually this winter as well. And you know, perhaps he's the one that they're going to pin the hopes on. He's actually got 5 goals in 14 appearances already for them, so it's not necessarily a bad start for him. And yeah, you feel like he might be the one to get the goals. They've also got Carlos Alberto, who has been at Botafogo. He's a winger. He might be one to keep an eye on too. So there's kind of a sprinkling of talent within the team, George, and a few players from here and there: Uruguay, Colombia, Argentina. So they've got kind of a mix. A couple of Portuguese guys in there as well. There's another guy alongside Sergio Oliveira, João Silva. So they've kind of built an interesting looking squad, and obviously we know all about the manager Pepe, who we've mentioned, you know, quite at length last time we covered them. He's, you know, for me, it kind of remains to be seen how he's going to get on. Really, he's never had a job or a kind of a long-term job in Serie A. I think he did take charge of Cruzeiro very briefly, didn't he? But I don't know if that was an interim position or something like that, because it wasn't necessarily, he wasn't there very long anyway, put it that way. So we'll see, George. I think he's going to have to hit the ground running. He's obviously started going into the campaign in decent form, but he's going to have to get up a few kind of points on the board early on, I would say, to make sure he's got the job for the rest of the season. But what's your kind of view on Sport Recife? I did notice as well, I've got a new kit come out just today, which looks quite nice. It's quite eye-catching, that red and black, isn't it?
Yeah, I do like the red and black stripes, actually, James. I mean, I'm just going to have a look at that now you mention it. But yeah, I think, you know, like you said, I think he does. They've got a couple of interesting, you know, interesting looking players there. The 2 Portuguese lads you mentioned, obviously the Oliveira, isn't it? Sergio Oliveira, who, you know, Portuguese international, been all over the place in, you know, in Europe, and also, you know, the other fella as well. And they're 2 attacking options, aren't they? So, you know, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, they'll most likely hang the hopes on those 2 guys. But they have seemed to build up an interesting squad. It's I'm just looking at that kit, kind of nice, yeah. Kind of like
Umbro,
that green
nice
one,
Umbro,
huh?
nice Umbro offering, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Umbro always. I think Umbro for the Brazilian teams as well. They do offer up some really nice kits actually. That away kit's not too bad either. The sort of dark green and yellow, yeah, or dark green and kind of gold. I kind of like that one as well, James, actually. So yeah, very, very nice actually that. But yeah, for me on the pitch, yeah, they built up a decent team. I think, like I said, Pipa or Pepper, it very much hangs on can he start well, because we know what they're like in Brazil. They do like to just wield the axe if things don't go well over the first sort of 5 or 6 games. So we'll wait and see. But I think they're going to struggle personally. It's a kind of little bigger side, isn't it? Kind of big side, biggish club. But yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, until the season starts, from them playing in Serie B last season, we didn't really have much of a close eye on them. So we don't really know completely how they're going to do. We can only guess so much at this point. But I think they're going to get relegated, James. I think it'll be kind of close. But I'm going to go with 17th.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, having taken a little bit of a closer look at the team, I kind of like it. I think we did speak about as well before we did the preview show. We looked at Lucas Lima, who is
Oh,
former
yeah.
international, who he got 11 assists last year from centre midfield in the Serie B. So he's going to be a big figure for them as well. Fabrizio Dominguez, who's an Argentine centre midfielder, scored 10 goals. George, top scored for them from Serie B. I'm guessing probably a couple of them were penalties, but that's somebody again who we talk about getting goals. That's a really good return from midfield. Chap called Christian Barletta as well, quite a young player, 23, a left winger, scored 9 goals. So they do have some kind of goals within that team. And then for me, I didn't actually realise they've got Paciencia, and I remember Paciencia from those Bundesliga days. He's got a bit of magic in him, actually, and he can come up with something special. He's only 30. I think his career's maybe not quite panned out the way he maybe should have done. And I know he wasn't prolific in Germany by any means, but he's certainly got a bit of something special. So if they can get those players to gel right, then they might just be okay. But yeah, you put them 17th there. That has them just going down. So I think, yeah, it's probably wise to expect them to be in and around that kind of area, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they'll be in and around it, James. Like you said, they have got some really, when you delved into the squad a little bit deeper, they have got some interesting players. Paciencia, yeah, very much an experienced pro in the sort of European leagues, obviously Germany, Portugal, even Greece, and he's played in Japan as well. So, he's been all over the place, very much a seasoned pro. Like I said, is still 30, probably got something to offer at the top end of the pitch. So he'll be one to keep an eye on. But yeah, I just think they'll be close, but they might flirt and sort of swap between Juventude and Sport Recife. They might drop in down, and then Juventude might drop into the relegation zone for a bit. But then, yeah, I do eventually think they probably will eventually go down. And who knows whether Pepper or Pipa, who knows whether he's going to be the man to end the season. I mean, nobody knows.
Well, at this stage, how can we say? But we'll certainly, obviously, keep an eye on whether he does stay and last the season there. So that's Sport Recife, George. Obviously, we're looking forward to having another kind of northern team within that kind of cluster. They seem to be getting a few of them in there right now, and as we've been pointed out by some fans, it does often get overlooked in favour of the kind of big Rio and the big Sao Paulo clubs. So, but like you mentioned there correctly, they are a biggish side, so they'll certainly be hoping to make a good fist of it.
It's a difficult start for them, to be fair, James. They've got Sao Paulo away, and Palmeiras is the first home game of the season on the 6th of April. Vasco away, Bragantino at home, and then Corinthians away is the next few. So, yeah, we'll always see where they are after the sort of first 5. It usually has a little bit of a marker on how they're going to go. But yeah, I hope they do well because, yeah, looking into the squad there, they've got some interesting players, and yeah, we'll see.
Yep, they've got some talent for sure. Okay, George, why don't we take a little quick break now? We're kind of about halfway through. If you can hit the decks there and give us that. Oh, yeah. You just
Yes,
can't wait with it, can you? I don't know what's difficult about it, but okay. Well, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at Vitoria and Vasco da Gama as we round off the preview show.
yeah, let's do that then. In a minute.
São Paulo, Recife, Vasco, da Gama, Vitoria. Happy birthday, get on this season in City Island. Let me see the Queen Father. We did all this season in Serie A. Oh yeah, we got on this season in Serie A. About to go to steam, pick it up, they got to ride. I will see how they get on this season in Serie A.
There you go. Yeah, that was welcome back, everybody. That was the Talking Brazil Ball band. Bit of a amateur hour, wasn't it? And,
I don't know. Like you say, I don't know why. I'm not used to doing it, but it's it is what it is, isn't it? Like I said, if anybody wants to hear them from the top, they can do. I'll be doing a little melody of them. Maybe not wait a week. I don't. Yeah, maybe in the next few days. You can hear them all.
yeah, it was a bit kind of like a Bushido style one, that wasn't it?
Yeah, similar to Bushido, wasn't it? Alice Forlorn, and yeah, it was good. That maybe it was him. I don't know. Maybe they managed to get a feature on this one. I don't know.
Maybe they don't kind of impart this information really, do they? But anyway, let's crack on, George, with the next two teams. So as I said before the musical interlude, we're going to look at Vitoria and then Vasco da Gama. So Vitoria obviously had a fantastic season last year. I know you were very impressed with Tiago Carpini and the job he eventually did. As we know, they've lost Alejandro, who was only on loan anyway, but has since headed to where did he go? Alejandro, he went to Russia.
He's gone to Russia. Yeah, he went.
So they've lost the goals there. So can you tell us how they're getting on? I mean, looking at with Sport Recife there, it looks like they did pretty well in the Copa del Nordeste. So perhaps they've started okay under Carpini.
Yeah, they beat Sport Recife in the Nordeste on Thursday, James. It was actually just yesterday. I don't know if it was a final or I'm not completely sure. But they're playing again on Sunday, James, in the Beino against Bahia. So they've done okay. I think they lost that. I think that's the second leg, actually. They lost it 2-0 on Sunday. So we'll see how they get on there. But yeah, they did okay. I think in the sort of regional competitions. I think they did win it, actually. So yeah, they're doing all right. The start on Saturday night, James, with an away game against Juventude. So it's a decent one to start with. And they've had a massive overhaul of Vitoria. Said they lost the goals, but they've had a heck of a lot of players in. I think they've brought in 12 players, James, and 16 players have left. So it's a real change around in the squad. A lot of players coming from teams like Fogo and Grêmio and players that have played a decent amount last season in Serie A, in the Brasileirão. Carlinhos is maybe one to have a look at. He's on loan from Flamengo, the striker. So he might be one that will make up for losing Alejandro's goals, possibly. But yeah, they've lost so many players as well. It's quite incredible, really, to see how many players have actually gone. Again, there's a couple that went to Grêmio. The two centre-back lads, or the two defenders, Lucas Esteves and Wagner Leandro, who both rocking up now at Grêmio, had a big part to play in Vitoria's very good season last season as well. So big overhaul of players. We know what it's like when that can happen. Carpini, I am a big fan of, as you know. I think there's the proof is in the pudding this time. Whether was it a fluke that he had last season? He had them up in the top half, didn't he? Eventually, so
11 for some in the end.
They were. Oh yeah, 11. So just into the bottom half really. But it was an incredible season. Like I said, if he can continue it this time, then you've got to say maybe it's time for him to move up the league and maybe onto a bit bigger and better things. No disrespect to Vitoria, because incredible season last time out. They will really miss Alejandro, and I think we will miss Alejandro really, James, because he scored some fantastic goals, and he was joint top scorer with Yuri Alberto, wasn't he? So somebody else has got to take that mantle. Like I said, the fella on loan from Flamengo might be one to do that.
Yeah, they've got Janderson as well, who was there last year, got a couple of goals. He might need him to step up a bit too, but it never bodes well, in my opinion, when you've got such a turnover of players. I mean, it can work if those players coming in a better quality, which some of them probably will be inevitably, but just such a churn of players, getting them all to gel together. When you're under pressure, when you're probably going to be losing more games than you're winning, I think it doesn't look good. I mean, losing the centre-backs like that is obviously a pain. They got a good fee actually for Wagner Leonardo, didn't they? About €4 million, which must be a big fee for a club like Vitoria. They've got Lucas Halter on loan from Botafogo in as one of the centre-backs, which was a pretty decent deal. Luan is one which caught my eye. I remember he was always linked with Liverpool when he was at Grêmio. He was supposed to be this next big talent out of Brazil. I don't think he ever left Brazil actually in the end, Luan, but he's coming there at Vitoria there. So lots to be excited about. I think it's not inevitable that they'll be worse than they were last year. Like you said, Carpini is obviously a good manager, got something, so perhaps he can lead them up to another good finish, another strong finish. I did notice, which I didn't realise actually, that they actually had Alisson's brother. I mentioned Alisson already there. Alisson's brother was on the books last year, Muriel. He played once, it looks like, but he's left now to a club called Nautico, which is a third division club. So no more Muriel Becker, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't realise he was there last year. But anyway, that's by the by. George, where do you predict them to finish? Having said all of that, obviously the start doesn't look too difficult, in fairness. So the Flamengo's in there quite early on, and Gallo, but the first two are not so bad. So where are you going to put them? I mean, they must be lower than last year, you'd have thought, but you've got 15th, 18th, 15th and 18th left. So
well, I think one thing is to mention as well, James, they've got the Sudamericana, which is incredible, really, for the team, for the club as such a size as it is. They've been paired in a group with Cerro Largo, which is a Uruguayan side, Defensa y Justicia, which is an Argentinian side, and Universidad Católica, which is an Ecuadorian side. So again, it's a mix of countries. It's a lot of travelling to do for Vitoria. They open the campaign with a home game against Universidad Católica on the 3rd of April, on Thursday, the 3rd of April. So they've got that to contend with as well. Whether that's a blessing or a curse, I don't really know. But it goes to the heaviness of the fixture list. I think, did you say I've got 15th available?
There's 15th and 18th, so one of these two are going up.
I think they'll stay up. I think they'll come 15th.
Well, I mean, that to me is quite a big call, because that means that you're sending Vasco da Gama down, and that would be, in my opinion, a bit of a shock. Not a huge shock, given that we know the year before we started talking Brazil ball, they were struggling with relegation. Last year, they were relatively kind of fine, weren't they? In the end, they kind of had a bit of they had a really poor end to the year, in fairness, but they weren't close to going down. In fact, in the end, they were 10th, so they were banging mid-table, which I don't think flattered them. We spoke a lot about Rafael Paiva, who was an interim manager for pretty much the whole season. I think he was given the job eventually, but the end of the season was always going to make it tough for him to stay. He didn't stay, George. He has been replaced now. So Vasco are heading into the new season with a new manager. So I don't know whether that's coming into your thinking at all. But the man who's taken charge is Fabio Carril. As 51-year-old manager, very, very experienced. He's been all over the place, this fella as well. George, he's been Corinthians. He's had 6 different spells at Corinthians. He's been at Paranense. He spent some time with Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. He's been at Santos. He's also spent time in Japan, as a lot of these Brazilians have, with Vivaran Nagasaki, who are a lower division team in Japan, actually. So an experienced coach, if not a particularly high-profile one. But he's started very mixed at Vasco as well, having joined in December. So he's won 6, drawn 5, and lost 4. So a very kind of mixed kind of docket so far, you have to say. But for me, it's a tall order for him to do better than Paiva did last season. I know that you're backing them to go down there. I wouldn't quite go that far with it, but I do think they'll be hard pushed to have a better season than they have done. The one thing going in the favour, or a few things really, is that they've still got Felipe Coutinho. So his transfer, his contract is still until the end of, I think it's until the summer, isn't it, as we said. But I saw that, because I think his Villa contract ends this summer. But Carril was saying that they want to keep him beyond that. So it looks like he probably will stay. They've also got the experience of Dimitri Payet, who we know hasn't quite hit the heights that a lot of fans would have hoped he would have done, but he's still there, so he can pull something out on his day. I think you're being a bit harsh on them there. I'd be interested to hear why you think they are going to go down. Obviously, Teixeira's still there. Paolo Vegetti is still there, who had another quite good season. Ryan, perhaps the young man you'd hope he'd step up a bit more after we gave him a bit of a big billing last year, and he didn't quite deliver on that in the end. Like Vitoria, they do have the Sudamericana coming up as well, George, so that's to contend with. They've got, on paper, which looks like quite a nice group. They've got Melgar of Peru. They've got Lanús, who are a difficult, probably the best team in that table, the Argentinian team. And then they've got Académica Puerto Cabello, who are Venezuelan sides. So the Venezuelan sides don't tend to have much kind of gumption against the Brazilian giants. So Vasco would back themselves to get through that. But yeah, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on why you think Vasco are gonna succumb this time.
I just think, I just think it's the manager, James. To be honest, I don't think it really. I know he basically got Santos promoted, didn't he? Really, in the end. But I don't know if he's good at this level, really, possibly. And I don't know. It just seems I really like Paiva. I know you're a big fan as well. And it was a shame that if he'd have stayed, I'd have been like, yeah, I think they're going to do a good season here. But it's just a bit of a team, like you said, they've not got a great deal really. Vegetti is getting older, but he's 36 now, but he seems to still get a few goals. But again, is he going to be a little bit more past it this time? I kind of like the pickup of Lodi Augusto, the Angolan striker, which is interesting in itself. James, another, you don't get many African players playing in Brazil, do you? So he's coming from Turkish side, Alanspor. So it'd be interesting to see how he does. But I just think generally, I wasn't so impressed with them last time out, really, although they do have some good younger players coming through. I just think that with the Sudamericana as well, again, with Vitoria, I think, is it a blessing or a curse? I don't quite think they really need it. They probably need to focus on the league, because that's the bread and butter, really. Sudamericana, though it's nice, it can be a bit of a hindrance as well. And I think that might just see to them this time. It'll be close, but I don't predict a good season for them at all. I would be very disappointed if they did go down, but I do think they will.
Yeah, they're a big club, really, but they do seem to be flirting with relegation a little bit. They've also got, I think, some very difficult ownership problems as well. They've got a lot of debt in the club, and I know FSG, the Liverpool owners, were looking at taking over at Vasco not that long ago. I think there's still, I mean, they obviously didn't. I think there is still some kind of wrangling going on over there. But like you said, good young players. We know about the youngsters who came through, Leandrinho and JP and GB and those kind of lads. I don't know whether they're still kicking about, to be honest. It looks like they are, I think. But no, Leandrinho's gone, sorry. So there's two Leandrinhos, isn't there? One of Leandrinhos has gone to Al Shabab on loan in Saudi, but that isn't the one who was doing well, I think. So, they might need to lean on that kind of academy, as we saw them do at times last year. They've also got a Swiss guy come in, George. I know you like to look at these sometimes when they have European players come in or kind of players from overseas. And I mean, he must be the first Swiss player in history, I would imagine, in Brazil. Is a fella called Maxime Dominguez. And he joined them in September. So he did end the season with them, but he's obviously starting the first full season. And he's played all over the place as well. He played quite a lot in Poland, actually, with Rakov Częstochowa and Miedzlednica as well. He's been at Gil Vicente in Portugal, and then he spent, obviously, time in Switzerland as well. So another interesting player to keep an eye on, perhaps, but one which may not be there for that long. We'll see.
Yeah, that is interesting. You're right, James. I do like to just keep an eye on the port. There seems a lot of obviously there's a lot of Portuguese influence in the players, but there does seem a little bit more this year of the actual European players involved. You know, this guy's Swiss. How Swiss is he? I'm not quite sure, but you know, who knows?
Like Farage.
Huh?
All right, Farage.
No, well, no. I'm just saying, like he might have dual nationality possibly, but it's interesting. Obviously, they've got the Angolan fella there as well. So obviously there's Payet as well. They're the Frenchman, Nuno Moria, who's coming from Portuguese side, lower league Portuguese side, Casa Pica. He came in February as well. So they've got a few. Sorry,
Casapia, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they've got one or two European players in there nowadays of Vasco. But I would be disappointed, like I said, if they did go down. But I think it's probably their time with the Sudamericana as well. And to be fair, this is only the third season back in Serie A, isn't it? To be fair. So it wouldn't be a complete wow, they've got relegated, would it be? So they've obviously been there before, a couple of years in Serie B a few years ago. So yeah, for me, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise. This, like you said, the ownership is a little bit here and there, and it just doesn't have a good mix. Really, it doesn't have a good feel for me this season for them.
Fair enough. So that completes our roundup, George. That completes your full predicted table as well. So just to remind you and remind the listeners, you've backed Flamengo to come out on top as champions with Felipe Luis in his first full season in charge. You've predicted the top four as Inter, Galo and Botafogo. So Palmeiras are down in fifth. And then in the relegation spot, so you've backed three of the newly promoted teams to go down, of course, not Santos. Santos you predicted as a 13th place finish, and the relegated sides you're going for Sport Recife, Vasco da Gama, Ceará and Mirassol dead last. So we'll revisit that. That's written down this time, so we can come back to that and see how you managed to get on. I haven't stuck my neck out and done them this time, but right, George. Well, like you said at the top of the show there, it is the final week before the season kicks off. We are having a break next week. I am away, so there won't be any show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to take a look back finally at the first game of the season and to dish out all the usual awards and to get back into what we like doing with it all. So, in that spirit, George, why don't you give us a rundown if you can work out how to get the music on? Let's give a rundown of the fixtures. So the fixtures start on Saturday. So tomorrow's Saturday, a week on Saturday, with 5 fixtures. They're across Sunday, Monday, and there is one early doors on Tuesday as well. So why don't you let us know what's coming up, what we've got to look forward to, and then we'll pick a game of the week each.
Yeah, why not, James? So like you said, it does kick off on Saturday, the 29th of March, a week tomorrow, isn't it, actually, with Cruzeiro against Mirassol, all at 9:30 kickoffs in the UK. So Cruzeiro at home to Mirassol, Fortaleza against Fluminense, Grêmio host Galo, Juventude against Vitoria, Sao Paulo against Sport Recife. Into Sunday, the 30th of March, Flamengo against Internacional is a midnight kickoff in the UK. Then 8 p.m. is Palmeiras against Fogo. That's a big game to kick off the season with, James. And then at 10:30, Santos make their return to Serie A with an away game at Vasco da Gama. Into Monday the 31st of March, midnight kickoff is Bahia against Corinthians. And Tuesday the 1st of April, it's RB Bragantino. They face newly promoted Ceará.
Yep, some big games, some really big games actually to get into. And as we pick our games of the week, George, I think there's only 2 we can go for, really. But I don't know. I usually allow you to go first. Why don't you pick your one, and then I'll pick my one as well.
Yeah, no worries, James. So I think I'm going to go with. Well, I think there is 2 that really stand out, isn't there? To be quite fair, and you cannot. I'm going to go with Palmeiras Fogo. I think that's the one that you just cannot ignore, isn't it? Really.
Yep, Palmeiras at home looking to, it's the last year's first place and runner-up, isn't it? It's Palmeiras looking to set an early message and snatch their crown back from Botafogo. And Fogo, after such a messy winter time, looking to bounce back and see if they can go again, really. And whether, I don't think they will be able to. I'm sure we in general, we're not predicting them to be able to, but it would certainly be a big statement to go to Palmeiras on the opening day and get something, wouldn't it? So, yep, good choice, George. And I think I'm going to go for Flamengo against Inter. So that was the top 4 from last year. No, it was 5th, wasn't it? So Inter came 5th in the end, didn't they? But that's 3rd against 5th. And the 4 teams who we build as the title challengers going into the season. So I think they're the 2 games which really kick the season off with a bang. Flamengo against Inter very early doors on Sunday. So obviously for me, hoping the Colorados can get off to a better start than they did last year when the weather conditions in Rio Grande do Sul really set them back. There are other good games. George, Grêmio against Galo, of course, is one that kind of catches the eye too. And obviously Vasco against Santos looks like a pretty good one too. But yeah, I think they're 2 pretty good teams. So looking ahead to those, and any final thoughts, really, George, before we finally kick off? It's felt like a long time. What's your overriding feeling going into the campaign?
Yeah, you're just a pure excitement, really, James. Like you said, it feels like a little while since we've been building up to it, and it has been, really, hasn't it? 5-6 weeks? We've been building up to it now, and it's great to get on and finally get back to, like you said, get back to what we enjoy doing with it, watching it, enjoying it, and all, and seeing where it goes. So yeah, just pure excitement, roll on the 29th, I'm sure my team might have disappointed me by 9:30 on next Saturday. So yeah, it'll be great to get on and have something else to occupy my mind, other than my team, So yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to Galo kicking off with Grêmio as well. Interesting game to kick off with also.
Yeah, like you said, it's good to finally have something else to keep an eye on, and it all kicks off. It all starts again. So new heroes to be made, new stories to be written in the Brasileirão this season after a top first year of Talking Brazil Ball last year. So, George, I think that concludes our episode today, and that concludes our looking ahead to the new Brasileirão 2025 season. If you want to go back and look at all of our preview shows, We have looked at all 20 teams there, some of them twice, actually, if you run back. So you can get a full overview heading into the year of where every team is at. Some things might have changed even since we spoke, George. We know how quickly the managers can come and go. But for now, that's a comprehensive look at all 20 teams. And see you in 2 weeks' time, George, for a rundown.
Yeah, absolutely, James. Looking forward to it. It should be a good one. And yeah, the season's finally here. So let's enjoy it. And everybody have a good week next week. And we'll see you next week. Adios.
Adios.
Breaking it down, bringing the passion from every town. Let the world be filled with love tonight. Sway to the beat, make you feel so right. Song by song, our vibes, they dancing in